welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today. So,
It's my pleasure.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what are you going to talk about today?
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Belle, and I am a student of IMW, and I'm also one of the creators for Behind Closed Doors. So, what is Behind Closed Doors? It's mainly about raising awareness on domestic violence, and you could have a look on that page since there's lots of informations about domestic violence, how you could seek help and stuff. So the link will be in the description down below, so you guys could check that page for just educate yourself a little bit more about domestic violence. So today on this video we're going to talk about domestic violence again,
Mm-hmm.
and the types of domestic violence. Maybe some of you are a little bit confused with what they actually are, and confused with the types of domestic violence that
Yeah.
you could possibly have, or your friends could have, or nobody in your life could have, but just for the future and just for the sake of education and just sort of like being aware of the whole situation thingy. So before we start, I'm just gonna just give you a little an image, like
Mhm.
what domestic violence is actually all about. Okay, so again, domestic violence occurs when violence is committed within a close relationship between the abuser and the victim. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be like blood related, but it's still just considered as domestic violence if you have a close relationship with that person, and like you may think like who could they be and stuff. So they could be your partners, ex-partners, your family, and I mean family relative, as well as your family friends.
So, what is the type of the domestic violence that you wanted to explain to us?
So there's lots of it, but I'm just gonna explain I think 7 to 8 of them, just general ones. So you just need to know the basic, because some of them we're gonna cover on other episode. So on this episode we're just gonna cover like the surface of the iceberg. Okay, so we start off with the first one, which is control. So you need to know control. Everybody knows what control is, just that when in this case of domestic violence, you see, so controlling is they tend to like control you excessively, if that's the right term, like how should I say it, but they control over, like they check onto your phone to know what's your incoming calls and what are your outgoing calls, who do you call, whatnot. So kind of like violate your privacy a bit. So that is still considered as control and part of domestic violence. Besides that, what I can give you is that when you want to go out and stuff, they control what you wear. So that's the inside the whole of controlling, and it is sort of like controlling behavior issues, something like that. So number 2 is physical abuse. So one thing you need to know is that physical abuse doesn't really need to have you need to have like physical contact with the abuser. No, physical abuse can also be the abuser throwing stuffs, not exactly to you, just that when they're mad and stuff, they have their own rage and stuff. So they tend to like throw things to like let go of their, I should say, anger. Yeah, anger is the right word. So they tend to throw things, or they tend to like hit the wall just because they're mad. So that still does count as a physical abuse, but part of it is of course by hitting you, kicking, slapping, whatever that harms yourself. So on to the next one, which is emotional abuse. So I won't really cover with that much on emotional abuse, since on the upcoming episode episodes, we're gonna explain more about emotional abuse, since many of you don't realize that you're being abused emotionally. So we're gonna cover more about that. But just know that emotional abuse includes brainwashing, um, humiliating, and as well as what was I gonna say? Brainwashing, humiliating, and manipulating. Yes, that's about it. Next, talking about isolation. It's almost the same as controlling. It still includes the controlling behavior, just that when we talk about isolation, the abusers or the offender, they tend to like cut you off from the outside world. It doesn't matter if it's personal or it's from your working world, just that they're just gonna cut off your relationship with the outside world. So it's like basically the Malay saying kata di bawah tempurung, you won't know anything from the outside because you're just under like one roof. You can't go out, you can't contact the outside world, you can't do anything, so you're just like under his control. Next, verbal abuse. So verbal abuse, we can cut them or divide them to three. We have coercion, threats, and blame. So the first one, coercion, is when they create fear so that you comply to whatever they say. So they create fear again for you to just follow everything that they say. So that's it. Second one, we have threat. Threat is when they do some actions just to show ability that they are capable in causing a physical harm to you. And lastly, we have blame. So blame is again manipulating, and they usually would like relate all this because all this kind of sort of like come from the main root comes from their home issues. So from home, I'm not happy because you did this. He or like the abusers tend to like he or she. It could be anyone actually. It could be anyone. I don't want to like just standardize he, but yeah. So they could say it's all because of you. You started doing this, so I didn't excel well in work and stuff. Blaming others and manipulating you into thinking that you are the actual problem when you should know you are not. Next, we have economic abuse. So, do you know what economic abuse is? So, economic abuse, sometimes we don't notice it goes on our daily life as well. So, economic abuse is when you have no say in the family, what do you say? Family financial issues. You see, you can't say anything about it, and sometimes they tend to keep secrets of
cash flow.
The transactions that they made or where the money went, this and that. They don't tell you, they just keep secret from you. So first of all, they don't trust you, first of all. Second of all, they just when they do that, they know that they don't consider your feelings at all. So it's not right when you are in the family, and family is an institution, right? So you should share things with the family. That is what family is all about. So if you do those kind of things, you already know who the culprit is. So you shouldn't, act those way. And you would always have to ask permissions for your money if it's yours. So that is what economic abuse is all about.